When I think back on all the fears when I was pregnant, all of them dismissed except for one. The only test the state mandated was genetic. Looking for that extra chromosome.
Hello, and welcome to the If We Knew Then podcast. I'm Stephen Socks.
And I'm Lori Socks. And today we are going to talk about Liam's birthday.
15.
15 years old. We're not going to talk about his birthday, but we could talk about his actual
day
birthday.
was yesterday.
Right. But at 15, what is that? What has that journey been?
Liam's 15. He's in 8th grade.
He's in 8th grade.
Next year, high school.
Next year, high school, which is an episode unto itself.
Yeah.
And, you know, in 15 years, here's the things that I have learned. I want to start by saying that I had so many fears, and this journey has been riddled with challenges. I can honestly say they don't come from Liam. They come from the way society defines Liam and breaking down those barriers of misperceptions that have been put on Liam. In 15 years, we've learned a lot about the education system and continue that fight for an equal education, and not necessarily the fight. Like, we haven't necessarily had to fight recently in the new school that he's in, but we definitely are still actively engaged and participating in his education, because the great thing is the intentions are good, and the want and the hope and the belonging and the seeing Liam and all of that is where it should always be. But it is still new. And even in an inclusive environment, inclusion is still new. So, you know, having an individual with Down syndrome in the school can still be something that is your child may be the first or the second or the third, very low numbers. And, you know, if they're the third, but the first one was in 1970s, you want things to be new. You want to participate. And in the 15 years, what I have learned is not to be angry about the level in which I participate, to strive for it to be a collaboration, and that my voice is really important because I'm the parent. I'm the adult in the room. And I don't know if, I know for a fact that when Sophia was in the 8th grade, I participated in her education. I participated in making sure that she had the supports or the knowledge or the assignments. If I let Sophia decide what she wanted to do, it would have not been math or science. And that goes all the way up to she's a senior now.
Well, you are talking like a true advocate, because the way you even say, you participated in Sophia's education, but that you're not getting angry about the amount that you're participating in Liam's, is the fact that as an advocate, you're going to do your best to not allow things not to be done, right? So if something's not done at school, your automatic reaction is the amount of work now I need to do.
Right.
Right? But there are people that aren't capable of doing that work. And it's very difficult, and it can feel very
overwhelming.
Well,
I think when you say people can't do that work, if there's a caregiver, I think there's a couple of things there. There's not knowing that you have to do the work,
yes, that's
being afraid to ask, trusting that it's being done. And it's not about trust. That's what I've learned. Like, I've had my conversation manipulated by school districts, by teachers, by administration. I've had doubt instilled. I've been called names by schools.
They play the games.
They've, I've endured that. And I think during those times with those administrations is when the anger was there, when there's somebody who's supposed to be educating my child telling me that their job is not to educate my child, that's actually their job is to not educate my child, telling me that they didn't educate my child, but now they're not going to hold him back so that way they have to educate my child. That was a fight. You know? And then like, it was so funny because I had gotten used to the conversation. So I believed them and I played that game when if I could go back, I think that my words would be like, that is very interesting. This is what we need to do to support Liam. Please explain to me in writing why you don't think you should. And I think I would have that sentence at the ready instead of getting so upset and so flustered and so bothered about the way it was. Like if something is what it is, and this is what when I always quote Oprah on this, if someone shows you who they are, you believe them. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I always tell Sophia, and I always try to remember if that is the situation and we advocate for change, but the only way to change it is through our action. One, I can't diminish my energy getting mad at how it is. Yeah, the lack of inclusion, the lack of belonging, the lack of education, the lack of equality. Of course you're going to get mad at that. Now, then that anger, let it promote you to action instead of what I did a lot is participated in the game and wasted so much energy on the conversations about this is what you're doing and this is what they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know. They know what they're doing. So it took me 15 years. And, you know, because we had stuff with early intervention, we had a caseworker through regional center that was very inappropriate, that threatened me, that was just, and I didn't know. And I let people take my voice away. Right. But in 15 years, what I learned to do is trust that if it's not right, it's wrong. Yeah. And change is slow in the world, in society, right? But I can change in my child's life immediately. If you're not going to teach him to read, I can teach him to read. If you're not going to do this, well, we can continue like every week. Well, what's the homework? Start the communication always with the principal. They are the top teacher. Principals are teachers. So
include them
from go. Use words like collaboration and supports, and throw in legal binding document when you need it. But that's what I would do differently because I lost a lot of my peace and I just got so frustrated with the way things are. And instead of it just being a frustration about the way things are that motivated the change I wanted to make, I really spent a lot of time in that just like so mad.
Yeah.
So mad.
And now the plan is great. I believe our school has the great plan. But yeah, you're saying that
we
there
still
is still
participate.
Because there's the implementation of that plan is where maybe things don't happen.
We're human.
Yeah.
It's all being done by human beings, by people, and by people who have a job that they went to school for, but because of the lack of inclusion, special education didn't always include the actual education of individuals with learning differences. Because the truth is, there are so many learning differences. So 15 years, I learned that it's okay. Look at it. See it for what it is. I hope you have a collaborative environment, but if not, you have the power in your child's life, in your student's life. You have that power. You know, a lot of times schools will make you think that you don't have the power because that will give them the excuse, and that will also propagate the stereotype. And, you know, no school wants to say, well, this can't be done, and then have a parent show them, well, it most certainly can be, especially when they're just touting that false information. But change is slow. And sometimes we take steps backwards in society. But, you know, we still have the power to educate our children, and we have the power to do it at no cost to the peace in our lives. Like, it doesn't have to upset our souls. It doesn't have to destroy our families. We don't have to cry at the dinner table over math. But we cried at the dinner table, at the, the kitchen homework table, with Sophia's math. I mean, I wish I would have thought of that then. It's like, it doesn't, in life, we have this whole life. We don't have to understand, the Pythagorean theorem right off the bat. Like, we'll get it. If that's what we want to learn, we will learn it in our time, all of us. And when you look at it that way, then know that your student is going to get it in their time. And they're allowed to do that. So that is at 15 where I am. And now we're entering high school. And I think high school is a really great time to come to that peaceful place because, I've learned, and high school can be hard, but high school is also very repetitive of middle school and elementary school. And so I'm happy that at 15 years I have that, because I don't know what high school is going to be, but I want to support Liam in a way that's healthy for him and for us, and to see him and his ability. And because he's able, man, he is so able. And I think about 15 years ago. I do. And I don't like to tell this story because it makes me really sad, but I think we can relate because of the little bit that I knew about Down syndrome. And that little bit was not good. When we got the diagnosis, we crumbled. We legit crumbled. We fell. We were sitting.
Thought like our whole world was ending.
It was cinematic. I did, it was something that you see and it's like, that's dramatic, but it was a legitimate falling to the ground without breath and just I don't know, like hopeless, right? Hopeless.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely hopeless.
It was devastating.
It was so devastating. And so anybody don't ever feel guilt about that, because, if you think of any other thing in your life that you were not prepared for, or you were given the wrong information. Like, I lived on an island and there was a hurricane coming, and they were giving us all this information about this level 5 hurricane that was going to come and plow us down. And for 48 hours, I sat in a bathtub with just so afraid, so filled with fear. And then at the last minute, it turned and nothing happened. And I'm not going to feel guilty about sitting in a bathtub scared because they told me to be afraid. And it's the same, it's kind of the same feeling of, we felt that fear. We were so afraid, and, it wasn't what they said it was going to be. So I can't feel guilty. There's no reason to feel guilty for any emotion ever, because those are your emotions. Every single emotion that you've had today is your emotion about every point of your life. And there's never a reason to feel bad about those emotions, because we have them for a reason. There's a reason we're feeling that. And, all guilt does is just really create
It compounds it.
different. Yeah, it's like calcifies.
First of all, the reason we were so devastated was from misinformation, and no experience with Down syndrome up to that point, and just the fear of the unknown type of thing.
And when you walk into a NICU after nurses have been like, hey, I know he's, born 10 weeks early, but he's going to be great. And then the day after the diagnosis, they're like, oh,
their heads are down and they won't.
They don't look at you. There's no eye contact.
Yeah, that wasn't a good. That wasn't good.
That was because our son was born at 30 weeks, and you would think that would be people going, oh gosh, all right, But they were so full of joy and hope
because they had dealt with 30 weeks before many times, and obviously they hadn't dealt with Down syndrome either.
Not that often.
Yeah, and or what they had perceived continued.
They didn't have a real experience.
They had seen infants with Down syndrome.
Probably, but they didn't have a real...
What was their...
Where did their information come from?
Right, exactly.
Right? The medical field really still needs improvements on their knowledge of Down syndrome and what it is and how to support. And you know what I want to say? If you ever have anybody, teacher, medical, dental, whatever, one, always make sure that they're supportive no matter what. Like they should, it should be a positive relationship so that, and you have the power to choose someone
get a
new.
new doctor, get a new
And
nurse.
don't be afraid to say, you know what, you're not helpful and you're wrong. And because they are, right? And I think that you're helping anybody who comes behind you because you can give them information that's correct. And you might not have the energy to, and maybe you want to go back and do it later. We still haven't been back to Liam's NICU because we just couldn't. We just couldn't. It was terrible. The NICU doctor said something really mean right before we left. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, you know, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I could maybe go back and offer them some more information. Now at 15, I might, you know, but at the time I just didn't have it in me. And then we were pretty busy as soon as Liam came home. We were really, really busy, right? But when talking about emotions, honor every single emotion that you have. We just had an experience and it was really devastating and made us very sad. And what we came home and I was like, all right, we're going to be sad today. We're going to be really sad. We're going to feel this even though it hurts really bad and it's uncomfortable and it's disappointing. And if we want to go outside and yell, we can go outside and yell. And it didn't feel good, but I know that if we would have pretended that we were fine, it would be worse and it would come up, you know, and we could be honest. And then people asked us about it and we were like, you know what? No, that wasn't fun. And it's very disappointing. And
It's about being truthful, right?
yeah, it's about being truthful. And I feel like I wasn't mean to anybody. I didn't say anything that everybody didn't know and what didn't witness. But I did say, probably for the first time in a peaceful way, that was miserable and it was disappointing and it hurt a lot. And all those things were true. But by saying it and keeping my peace when I said it to the people responsible for those feelings, well, I guess I'm responsible for all my feelings. I guess if you want to be honest, they're my feelings. But for whatever they did that hurt us, that hurt Liam, you know, I was honest. And I can now, after many conversations, just like I want others to see my son as able and assume that he's able, I'm going to assume everybody else is able. So if this is that situation and this is how I feel, I'm going to deal with my feelings. I'm going to assume, because we were both in the room, that you have the ability to deal with the situation. I don't have to take it. I don't have to carry it for other people. I have enough to carry. I have enough to figure out in my own life. I have enough growth. I have enough change that has to happen, that I think it's on what I've learned is if I do it with kindness, and if I can't do it with kindness, I don't have to do it, right? I don't. And if I make a mistake and don't do it with kindness, I have the same power to apologize. Like I have that power. I can be human. I think on this journey, there were many, many times where I felt like being human, being weak, being flawed, not knowing. I felt like that was a luxury I did not have. But you know what? I do, because this is my son's journey and we're figuring it out together. And most of the things we're figuring it out for the first time or without anybody else saying, hey, this is how you do that, or this is the situation, or this is what you need, right? We're figuring it out. The thing is that without Liam, I don't know if I would have evolved this much as a human. They don't tell you that. They definitely don't tell you that. Your evolution as a human is off the charts. Like just my ability to love and to have empathy and to care and to be present.
He makes you be better.
Yeah, he does. Like at dinner all the time. And I just want to say that used to really bother us. And I don't mean it in the way that would be,
Wait, he makes you better?
like the whole he's an angel.
Oh yeah, no, he's not.
He's not an angel. I mean, I think that's what society means when they say, "Oh, they're angels." I think it just means that they're really just evolved, phenomenal human beings. Like he's still a 15-year-old. He was still grumpy as all get out this morning in the car.
Yeah, he walked.
Right? He got out of the car, and I had
He
to
wasn't
mouth.
happy with me this morning,
No, he was not. And
even though he got like 3 birthday parties.
that was 3 days. That was yesterday. This morning was a new day.
Living in the moment.
This morning was, I don't want to make my bed, just like, Sophia would have done. Like, it's the same thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about having 2 teenagers in the house. They're the same.
They do it.
They're the same. Like, their behaviors mimic each other. And one helps me deal with the other. So I don't mean deal or handle, or maybe it's understand. Maybe it's navigate. Maybe it's not like, if you know, you know. But I'm going to tell you that most of the challenges with Liam do not come from his chromosome. They come from the fact that he's 15, and all of those emotions and feelings and grumpy and hormones and all of that are effervescent.
Oh, that's good. Good adjective there.
Just thought of that.
Yeah, that works.
No, but Liam is 15. And in this last year, since he was 14, I've seen him change exponentially. He has a personal trainer, and this personal trainer is one of my favorite yoga instructors, who happened to say one day that she teaches martial arts. And I, having full hope, but also understanding the world, I approached her and I said, would you be interested in teaching Liam and training Liam?
They never met.
And they'd never met, but with social media, you know
yeah, that's true.
people's, life. And I did tell her, I said, Liam has Down syndrome. And she was like, I know. but I said, the reason why I told her Liam has Down syndrome is because before committing, I wanted to make sure that she understood how we approach Liam. And so I said, Liam has Down syndrome. Our challenge is in school. Our challenge is anywhere. It's really hard to get somebody to actually train our child in anything physical because they're afraid he's going to break. They think already that he can't. And they have fear. Like the instructors, like I've never had a PE coach really want to include him in a completely inclusive way where he's allowed to fall and he's allowed to get hit with the ball and he's allowed to miss and lose. We've never had that experience. He's never had that experience. And that experience is very important to life. Being able to handle loss, that's really, really important for him to be able to handle that. So I approached her. We discussed. She came over. I hung out a little bit, then stepped back in earshot. I can hear when Liam, I already told her he's a 4-no kind of guy. Like, hey, do this? No. Can do this? No. Do this? No. On 3, most people give up. And he's like, yeah. He knows if you go to 4, he's going to have to do it because you're going to go to 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and just wait for him to get there. And I also told her, look, it's not about quantity. It has to be done at this level, this bar. It has to be something that he reaches for. And that was last June. So he's been doing it for 8 months now. And he can do plank. He can do burpees. He can do, his physical strength, the strength, not only like his physical strength, like push-ups, these things that he could never do because no one ever taught him. And it's kind of like being able to do a push-up, even a bad push-up is something especially like that kids like, look at my push-ups, like, and they can be really bad, but they're just selling them as they're good because they're just really, I almost said stoked.
Well,
they're really stoked that
California.
they're really stoked that they can do a push-up and they're not A neurotypical child is not given that, they're not judging themselves, and they'll look you straight in the face and say, I just did 10 push-ups, and you're going, okay, I'm gonna let that A for effort, right? Well, Liam gets to do A for effort, but he's never been given that ability. Well, now he can do a push-up, he can do a plank, he can do a burpee,
He's punching
he can
well.
do yoga, he
like
punches,
he's got
he
a
kicks,
good form. He's working on his balance.
and tree pose,
Yep.
right? But it's all like allowing him the ability to fail, allowing him to have the journey to be able to get the ability. And then what I love about Miss Molly is that once he's conquering it, she adds something. Oh, he does not like that. But who does? Who likes, like, yeah, I can do this. And they're like, oh, great.
Right on to the
now,
next step.
that's the foundation. We did that to do this. I feel like collaboration is a really important word, because we have that collaboration of saying, okay, well, we know that he doesn't like new things. So let's tell him at the end of a lesson what will be new the next lesson. And let's remind him at the beginning of the next lesson, just like, you or I want to have that. And he's excelling. And I would say, and that he has that confidence that comes from being strong. Whatever that is, whatever that level is of physical activity, it's so good for the brain. It's so good for confidence. For me, I honestly am like, I want Liam to be able to defend himself physically, right? As well. So just having that like stress relief, because, I don't know whether it's because he's 15 or, I think a combination of being 15 and also his expressive language not being, the strongest part of his ability. So he doesn't necessarily talk about emotions or feelings, but that could just be being a teenager. So it's nice to be able to physically have a physical release. He can go to school now and he can participate. Could I get frustrated that he could have participated a long time ago? Yeah. But can I just accept that what I did was I just accepted, okay, this isn't going to happen. How do I participate? What's my part? What can I do? Because I'm not going to just allow a PE coach to determine my son's physical ability.
Well, again, collaboration. Like, how do you collaborate with that PE coach to sometimes you have to kind of treat it like, hey, listen, Liam can do this, and this is what we expect. And so you kind of because if the teacher doesn't have experience, you can see where they're kind of standing off. If you can just kind of guide them a little, I think they appreciate it.
And he does it. Well, I think what happened was he has APE, which we've tried to. APE was supposed to support Liam in accessing the games in PE, but what it's become is a substitute, and it's like.
I think that's common.
But it shouldn't be there.
No.
It shouldn't be. It's supposed to be a support. It's supposed to be like a calculator, but for PE.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's something that we're still collaborating on. And, you have to choose. It's like, okay, well, I know he enjoys it and he has fun. So, I don't know if he's doing, plot points on graphs and he's having to write paragraphs. Okay. He's getting it at home. And I don't know what level, but hopefully, he gets, hopefully now, because he has the ability, that the participation is there,
Yeah.
And maybe it's just, maybe it doesn't, I think one thing we've learned is that it doesn't have to be textbook, right? Like, I think one day we went to school and it was lunchtime in middle school. And I forget what we were doing. We were leaving because we had done something for the teachers.
Yeah, that's right. But he was on lunch.
But he was at lunch, but he wasn't out with everybody else sitting.
You were like, where is he?
And I was like, where's Liam?
Yep.
But he was in the room, his BI, because they have this really great room for the BIIs. And he was in there. And honestly, his BIIs are all amazing humans. There's not like a single one that I don't love. And he was in this room with these phenomenal humans and a few of his friends. But I get mad because I'm like, this is not inclusion. They should be, with their peers. And then I was like,
He's enjoying himself.
he's having fun. And do I want to be in the lunchroom
Yeah.
with 7th graders and 8th graders?
Exactly.
He's having better
loud out there.
conversations. He's having fun. It's
Yeah.
it's so loud out there. And he's with people who support and care about him, and he's not going to have, there's not a risk of, it's lunch, right? He's going to eat his lunch. That's what he likes. He likes his personal space. And I was just like, it doesn't have to be. And Sophia is so funny because she'll always be like, oh God, I hated lunch in middle school. I hated it.
Yeah, but if you gave Sophia in middle school, like if you say, hey, you and a couple of your friends can go in this room, there'll be a teacher in there or whatever, but you guys can.
She does that now in high school.
Yeah, I'm just saying, wouldn't you go, you wouldn't think twice. You'd be like, hey,
No.
good for you.
No, I wouldn't think twice, but immediately, because I've got those little antennas, inclusion antennas, that like always wants to right a wrong or is used to righting a wrong. I know that's probably like that sentence is like, oh, wrong. What's right? What's wrong? It's just what it is. I want to make a change to an inclusive environment, one that supports and gives my
I
son.
don't want my son to be left out.
I want my son to have a sense of belonging. But then I'm looking around going, he belongs. He knows he belongs. He's in a classroom for all of his stuff. This is his break, and this is what he likes. He gets a break, right? He gets that time, and he's with people who get him. And,
That's actually where they had his birthday party yesterday.
Yeah, okay, so birthday party. I know you're interested in birthday party. So birthday party for Liam. In the 6th grade was the first time that he had friends, and he wanted a birthday party, and that was incredible. And then last year, he had a birthday party based upon, like, he asked for he wanted to go see Kung Fu Panda, and that was his birthday
Kung Fu Panda.
party. And he knew the people he wanted to invite over and to go see the movie. And if your child likes movies, I just want to let you know that that's a really great way to have a birthday party, because you can just get the concessions and go sit, and it's like, it's great. We loved it because it was really easy for us. It was really, and everybody loved it. And I think that's,
Then we got like a froyo after.
yeah, we got a froyo, but Liam has helped me adapt my sense of what things need to be and my vision of like some kind of weird like checklist that has to be there, and just let them actually usually go to a higher, more enjoyable everything, no matter what it is, by just being present and seeing like really what things are. So this year, the new Captain America is coming out. But you know what? It made me sad because Liam did not even ask for a birthday party. And so he wanted to go to California Adventure, and which most of the time our kids want to do. And since we're in LA, we can, bring them to Disneyland or California Adventure. And I like our family time together, and neither of my children love big parties. They just don't. They don't have fun. I was a little sad because our friend invited us to this special event at California Adventure, and we were there. And
a few weeks before.
A few weeks before, I'd bought tickets for his actual birthday, but she invited us, and we were there. And he got really upset because he wanted to ride one of the rides twice, and I was like, well, we'll do that for your birthday. There's more people here, so we have to like do what everybody wants to do.
It was just like an evening.
But also we have to do what my kids need to get used to, that everybody has an equal voice. That's part of inclusion.
With other people, yeah.
And we're with other people, so everybody gets to enjoy themselves. But on their birthdays, they get to do whatever they want, right? That's a long story. They get to do whatever they want. They control where we eat. They get to decide it's their day. And Liam got upset because we didn't ride this one. He's like, no, I want to ride, I think it was Monsters Inc. twice, or Toy Story twice, whatever it was. And I said, well, we'll do that. Everybody else is here. And he got really upset. And I said, well, we'll do that for your birthday. And he just was like,
oh.
And I was like, Liam, This is not your birthday celebration. Your birthday celebration is, and there's a part of me that was reminded myself that Liam doesn't eavesdrop. Like Liam doesn't like gather his information from other places. I need to tell him. Right. And I didn't tell him. I didn't front load that bit of information and say, hey, this is in addition to your birthday. He just knew it was February and he knew we were in California Adventure. And he thought, he was probably like, wow, usually we get here earlier.
Yeah, it's not dark.
He was so nice about it. He was probably like, why did I go to school beforehand?
That's
And when I told him, you know, again, I can't feel, I can use that to inform and remind myself moving forward. But I was a little sad that he would think that that was his birthday celebration. And what made me really sad, it made me sad that he was just like, okay, if this is all you can do, Mom, you know, that he was just accepting and just like, this is what Mom can do for my birthday this year. And this is what we're doing. And he's so accepting it. I mean, how can I do that in my life? How can I just accept other people so unconditionally and just be like, okay, this is what, you know, thank you. How can I say thank you more and not be like, this latte is cold. Right? No, and it's not about lattes, but that's like the smallest thing that I can think of. It's just like, I usually like vanilla in my latte. Right? Like not be petty. He's not petty. I'm not petty. I'm not that petty, but it's an example. Like I do. I forget to say thank you. I don't have that level of appreciation for every moment of my life. And I strive for it, but I drop that ball, but he doesn't. So we did end up going to California Adventure for his birthday. That was the first celebration, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't ask for a birthday party, but then I just said, because after that happened, I said, so Liam, you haven't asked for a birthday party. And I think it was because his two best friends are no longer at that school. They changed schools. And whatever other reason, maybe because he's 15, maybe
There was a good movie coming out.
whatever it is. Yeah. Captain America was coming out. And he had said he wanted to go see it. And I said, well, would you like to go see that for your birthday? And he said, yes. I said, would you like to
Invite a couple friends.
Invite some friends. And he was like, yes. And immediately, you know, he was there. And it reminded me, it triggered me all the way back to when he turned 4. And I remember that fear and it just that he didn't know it was his birthday. And this, we've received some emails about this from listeners about that. I needed him to know it was his birthday when he was 4. I needed to make sure that he knew it was his birthday and that, because people always say that, oh, it's your birthday? How old are you? And I was doing it. I wasn't doing it for him. I was doing it for the world so that when they asked him how old he was, he would be able to answer and prove something. Whatever they thought about Down syndrome was wrong. That proved that my son could. And so when we had that conversation, I just remember thinking back to that moment and just being like, you know what? I'm going to be okay. Like maybe my son just doesn't base his entire life on this is my birthday and this is what I want. And I think that's a gift. You know, although when he gets gifts, he is like, so are there more?
More? Let's get the gift.
Let me give you a list of things. So it's not, but it's just like, it's a moment. It's like, there's many, many moments. So he said.
Yeah, so he did Disney. And then he said, oh, how about the movie? Mm-hmm. Had some friends.
And it was really.
They came over and like ate a little bit. We went to the movie, came back and ate. Hung out, played some games, some video games and stuff.
But here's the thing is
It's being
that
kids.
I have learned from him to just be okay. To just be okay with what the reality is right in front of me. Right. And it ended up because I could do that and be like, hey, I did go to school and I did talk to one of his supports and say, you know, I'm upset because Liam hasn't asked for a birthday party, and it's the first year since sixth grade. Like the last 2 years, this inclusive environment has provided him with the reality that he has friends. And I just want to check in and make sure that
Does
he has
he have
friends.
friends?
Does Liam, and I got to be honest, guys, I come from a place of Liam has no friends because I don't trust people. I don't trust middle schoolers. I just don't. I know people can be mean. Sophia had so many bullies, and it's my biggest fear for Liam is that he's going to get bullied and people are going to be unkind to him. So I can improve in that area of just trusting. But I go in hot. Does Liam has friends? And my questions are loaded with, he doesn't have friends, does he? Like, I point fingers, I name names. Like I do, and I'm working on it. But I have to tell you that because if any of you do the same thing, I just want you to know you're not alone. It's really hard to trust. It's really, really hard sometimes for me to trust the rest of the world because my son is so amazing. And adults don't get it. How are seventh graders and eighth graders going to understand that? Like, that's a big ask because the world is not inclusive, right? Because people have misperceptions, because maybe their parents already have told them what that is, and maybe they have conversations at home, maybe they use language that's not great, so I have trust issues when it comes to who gets close to my son's heart. I really but he did, he has
we found out about
I read
a
a
new
book
friend.
about teenagers, and all they need is one friend. They can have, because there's a whole psychology of friends and cliques and socializing. And the book says just if they have one friend, whatever that looks like, one friend. It's just important that they have one friend. And you know what? The truth is Liam has more than that. But real friend, like for me, I don't want just
Not
somebody
just- yeah.
hanging out to get the free ice cream, right? I want a real.
He gets like, hey Liam, like wherever he goes, but not like he's going to hang with those kids. We're looking for.
Does he have real friend? And he did.
Real
And he
friends.
has, and his two best friends from sixth grade came
They
to
came
see the
too.
movie, and it was really great. And he had a good time, and he was celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really beautiful. And it was a long time coming because that, on the day he was born, on the week of his diagnosis, the conversations that we had with his NICU doctor, I was told that he was going to be fat and lazy and probably wouldn't have friends and wasn't able to do much. So that doctor was wrong. I mean, he took his toll on my soul, but I got it back along the way. And whatever your child's celebration looks like, let it be that. Let it be them being celebrated. Like we went around and had everybody say like a thing that they loved about Liam or a memory. And to ask that of middle schoolers and high schoolers is kind of hard to do, but it's funny how like our son, like our daughter's best friend, who's known Liam since he was very, very young. And she actually now, because of Liam, wants to go to study Alzheimer's in individuals with Down syndrome. I mean, he's reached into her heart, and there's somebody new going into the world already at 17, knowing that this is what they want to study, and just being so specific because of Liam's influence in her life. And she was like, one thing I can say about Liam is his hug, but his hug has never changed. And I don't think that's not like Liam has not evolved and grown. But if you think about the innocence of a child, like when they're in elementary school, right? Any child, and the way they hug, the way your children hugged you when they were just they looked at you without like knowing that you were human and you were this person, and they hugged you with so much love, without condition, with no ulterior motive. They didn't need a ride to the mall. They didn't, there was no judgment. that hug was just pure love. And Liam somehow was able to give that hug as, you know, a 5-year-old, and that same love, that same care, that same empathy, that same unconditional, no agenda love. He still holds that. He still hugs you. When he hugs you, if he's not being silly and trying to take you down, when he hugs you, like, you know, I'm guilty of, I've got to send this email, or wait, let me do this. And he'll say, can I have a hug? And he's asking me for a hug for a reason. Either he needs it or he sees I need it. And he'll wait. And when he gives me that hug, it's like, maybe his expressive language doesn't talk about those feelings, but he's there and he's spot on. And his hug makes me like, yeah, I've had over his shoulder trying to finish something. And it takes about 3 seconds to just be like, why? Where else do I have to be? Because this is love. This heart to heart, like just gift that I don't know if you get it anywhere else. I really don't. I think that this is the gift. I mean, there are people in the world that are just present and love you. And they're human. They have all that other stuff going on. But when they're there with you, they're with you. And it reminds me, it always brings me back. Boom, I'm here. This is what matters. Not everything else can wait. It can wait. I'd like to say that I learned it before 15 years. Maybe I learned it at 14. I'll have to listen to that episode, like really learned it. But it's been a gift. And then the gift for Liam is then, because he's so extraordinary, that all I said was, I know it's 8th grade, but Wednesday's a half day anyway, and they have their clubs. Can I just bring a treat for his lunch? And it legit turned into, yeah, of course. We want to celebrate Liam.
He'll invite friends.
People want to celebrate our son because of that. And they might not have a name for it. And in school, they don't necessarily get those hugs because there's a whole thing about like no hugging. But like whatever that is, they get that. They experience that. And there are
probably as many adults there as kids.
Yeah. They want to celebrate our son.
They want to celebrate him.
They want to celebrate him. And I think it's really important to celebrate each other. And he gets that gift. And maybe being celebrated adds to how much he loves people and how he can be present. I don't know. I don't know what comes first. I don't know what it is. I don't need to understand it or explain it. I can continue to strive for it. But you know, he got a third party at school. He had
on his birthday.
On his birthday, you know, he would celebrate
happy
it.
birthday with brownies,
gluten-free brownies. I looked at
but
pictures
then we celebrated at home.
And then we celebrated at home.
There's 4.
Like, but he's like, you know what I did? I was like, here we go.
Wait, that's 4 birthday parties.
I know. That's why I said when we sang to him last night for the 4th time, for the 4th cake. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We celebrated at California Adventure. We celebrated it with his close friends at a movie party. He celebrated it at school. But then still, I was just like, he came home from his half day having had school, but also a celebration. And he was tired. He likes his iPad. And I was like, all right, it's your birthday. So here's your gift. No homework. You don't have to do any homework tonight. And Wednesday is usually a big homework night because it's a half day. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to do homework and you can have your iPad. But then about a couple hours, I was like, I looked at my daughter and I was like, you think this is okay? Should we be doing something more? I feel like I'm slacking. I feel like there should be something. I should be doing something. But the truth is like he was enjoying himself. It was a school night. It was his birthday. He was celebrated. Mm-hmm. He was celebrated. He got a couple hours break on a night where he'd have to do a lot of homework to just do whatever he wanted. And then he got to choose the dinner. and we had some more cake and we
And a
sang
game.
some more
Oh.
and he got to play his favorite game and we laughed and we had fun. But there was that moment in the evening, even though I had woken up early and made chicken and waffles to take to school, and driven to school again,
French
you know,
fries.
and French fries and all of his favorites and made party favors and all of that, that I went, I should be doing more. And I remembered my best is enough. My best is enough and Liam's best is enough. Whatever best looks like, whatever it looks like. And your best is whatever you're doing. One thing that dawned on me today in that being enough is that he is able and I am able. And there is ease when you know that you're able. Does that make sense? Like when you know you can.
Yeah.
There's ease.
When you know it.
When you know it, when you believe it, that you can, whatever that journey of can looks like. Ease comes with believing you can, with believing you're able. And grace comes with knowing it. There's grace in knowing you can. Right? Because then we're like, no, I know, I can. And you can stop creating the struggle. Stop judging yourself. Stop leaning into the challenge. Stop giving up your peace. And just say, yeah, I know. I know it. I know it. I believe it and I know it. I know my son belongs. I know it. And when you know it, other people can catch up. They might not know it. They can find their grace and they can find their journey.
You're sure going to help them know it by you knowing it. Don't you think?
I'm going to help you know.
You're going to help them.
That did not sound like grace.
If you show it.
Yes,
it's
of course.
showing.
Yeah, but it's not about that's not about proving. I think like what the realization that came from that moment and this birthday was, we're at 15. I can cultivate ease in being able and knowing Liam is able and just knowing there's ease there. Yeah, it's still work, but it's not struggle. It's not fighting. It's not frustration. It's not, I mean, there are some frustrations. I'm not going to say it's peaches and cream, but I'm just saying like in that, not talking about all the side conversations and the growth and the moments and the everything, but really just like what I thought of is if I know he's able, if I believe he's able, there's some ease that I'm granted there. There's ease that I can cultivate because trying to prove it, trying to make others believe it, that's hard. And in that knowing he belongs, knowing he can, knowing we're doing our best, that's our best. Because nobody does less than their best. We don't go into it, well, maybe sometimes if you don't want the job, you don't go into it going, because even might be your best. That's all I can do right now. All I can do right now is get out of bed. Hey, that's my best. Look, I got out of bed. Yay, right? It's your best. Your best is whatever you're doing because that's what we do. Everyone is doing their best. And we get that same ability for our best to look like whatever it looks like. So when you know that, you can have grace because there's no judgment there. But I just hope that you have ease in your day. I hope you make the space for all the good stuff and this gift and this journey. And that space is for you and your family and your child. It's not for others to tell you what it's going to be because you know what? If someone's telling you what that's going to be, does that mean that you get to turn around and tell them what their journey is going to be? You wouldn't do that. Think about that when people are trying to tell you in a non-positive, supportive way. So does this mean I get to tell you what I think your journey is? What I think your ability is? That's another conversation. So at 15 years, happy birthday, Liam. You are just phenomenal. You have changed my life exponentially. I don't even know if I could have had this conversation and been open to all the possibilities of love in my life. You are the personification, Liam, of all things being possible. You embody overcoming obstacles and challenges. And we love you.
So much.
Happy birthday, Liam.
Happy birthday, Liam.
Next year you get to learn to drive.
Please follow us on Twitter at If We Knew Then Pod, and you can drop us a line on our Facebook page at If We Knew Then Pod, or visit our website, ifweknewthen.com, to send us an email with questions and comments. And you can join our mailing list there and get alerts of future podcast episodes. All these links will be added to this episode's show notes. Thank you again, and we look forward to you joining us on the next episode of If We Knew Then.